Hey, Michael. Thanks for getting this in so early. And I'm sorry. It seemed that you thought that I was being curt with my announcement, but I really wasn't. It's just always good to remind people of the protocol of not posting before the week has begun, and first posts have been made by me. Of course, as you already figured out, it's not actually a huge issue. I'm just supposed to remind you whenever it happens. So here's your assignment. Here's your two finals, 1 and 2. And I agree with what you said about using a greater depth of field for this shot. You can get away with the narrow depth of field on a portrait, and you can get away with it working beautifully if you understand depth of field and how it works with the camera. So here's something that it looks like you don't know. Just by the way that this image is in fine focus up here in the front, and the focus falls off rather quickly right past her nose. Depth of field begins, and these units are arbitrary. Depth of field begins 1/3 before your area of fine focus and ends 2/3 after your area of fine focus. 1/3 what? I don't know. It depends on how big your depth of field is. Maybe it's like 1/3 an inch if you're, shooting at 1.8 aperture with, within a foot of your subject. Maybe it begins 1/3 of an inch before your fine focus and ends 2/3 of an inch after. If you're shooting at, f, say, 5.6 and your subject is 20 feet away from you, your depth of field would probably begin about 3 feet before your subject, or before your fine focus, and end 6 feet after your fine focus. And by fine focus, I mean wherever in the scene you are focusing with your focus ring on your lens. So here, you are focusing your fine focus right up here, right in front. And we can tell because everything in front of her eye is in focus, and then it falls off pretty quickly back in her face. And so for this, you could have gotten away with using f4 at such a short distance and had a beautiful narrow depth of field on her face if you had focused your fine focus like right on the ridge of her nose, because then we would have her entire face, we would likely have her entire face in fine focus, and then her hair would softly fall out of focus, which would be beautiful, right? So actually using a large aperture for a portrait is a very common photographic practice if you properly use depth of field. So always remember that your depth of field begins 1/3 before your area of fine focus from near to far to you in the scene and ends 2/3 after. And those units are arbitrary. They depend on how big your depth of field is with your given aperture and your distance from your subject. But the light on this is gorgeous, right? It's beautiful, and the light here is really beautiful too. I'm enjoying this kicker. That's actually kind of acting a little bit like a rim light here. I really, really think that's a nice quality to have it so blown out the way that you do. I think that looks really lovely on her. And then you've got your key light coming from, I believe it's camera right, yep, and then a little bit of fill on camera left. It's lovely. This lighting is beautiful. Your background is just beautifully out of focus for us, so we're not distracted by it. It's a really nice, simple setup. Very good. You did great with it, minus the depth of field issue. But, like I said, from what I can see, it looks like maybe that bit of information has never been introduced to you about the nature of depth of field. And these are lovely photographs, and I will, well, why don't I do it now? Actually, I want to look at the post-processing you've done for her. Hold on. There it is. That's really nice. Yeah, these look really lovely. This is, well, that's it. So this must be without post-processing, and here we have some post-processing on that. Yeah, I mean, those look beautiful. And it looks like here, what is that? Sure, I like it, but I don't want to click on it right now. Stop it. Get out of here. Ugh. Is that the same image that we've got in your PDF? Let's see. Yeah, right? Because the focus looks much better here than it looks here. I wonder if you did that. Did you do that through post-processing? Yeah, that's the same shot. Anyways, regardless, if you did, nice job. Looks great. So yeah, I like what you did here. I think your lighting setup's really good. Yeah. Oops. Other than depth of field, I really don't have much to pick at. Nothing at all, actually. You did fine. Okay, thanks, Michael.